Valerie, why are you sitting there? I don't remember inviting you. That's what she said to me when I attended Madeline's wedding. With a smug look on her face, Madeline continued, Get out of here! You unemployed loser! You want to embarrass me even more? Her words extinguished any remaining goodwill I had for her. Fine, I'll stay out of your life from now on. As I left the venue, a commotion broke out, and people rushed in. Ignoring Madeline's cries for help, I left the venue with Conrad. I'm Valerie, a freelance illustrator. Conrad, whom I married a few years ago, is currently away for work. One day, feeling a bit lonely, I got news. My mom back home had fallen down the stairs and fractured her leg. Though it wasn't a severe injury, she needed help until she recovered. The question was, who would provide that care? Dad had recently hurt his back and was using a walking stick, so he couldn't help Mom. I thought my sister Madeline, who lives at home, could take care of her, and I'd help on weekends. But Madeline said, It's just a fracture. She can walk. She doesn't need care. She's always been insensitive. She never lends a helping hand and often makes insensitive comments. I couldn't trust her to take care of Mom. So I decided to move back home to care for Mom while Conrad was away. My parents were thrilled, but Madeline wasn't. Why are you back? You're in the way? Every time we crossed paths in the kitchen or living room, she glared at me. Whether she's always seen me as an enemy or is jealous, I don't know. But dealing with her is a hustle, so I ignore her. Still, she continued to harass me. I took over the household chores for Mom, but Madeline complained about my cooking and even threw laundry into my room. Childish. But I said nothing. 2 weeks after I moved back home, Madeline knocked on my door. I opened it, wondering what was so important. Aren't you going to work? Work? You never leave the house except for shopping or the hospital. You're not working, are you? I explained that I'm a freelance illustrator and work from my laptop, but she didn't get it. So you're saying you draw pictures on your laptop and make money? That's no different from being an unemployed shut-in. Having an unemployed person in the house is the worst. She stormed back to her room, stomping her feet. A few days later, Madeline said, I want you to meet someone. Wait in the living room. We waited as instructed, and she brought in a tall, slender man with a youthful face. The mole under his left eye seemed to highlight his youthful appearance. Nice to meet you all. I'm Rodney, Madeline's fiancé. Thank you for making time for me today, the man said, extending his hand for a handshake. Caught off guard by the unexpected guest, my parents and I returned the greeting. Nice to meet you. We hadn't known Madeline had a fiancé, and it seemed neither had our parents. We exchanged puzzled glances as we listened to their story. I met Rodney at work. He is a very sincere, capable, and wonderful person, Madeline gushed. Madeline, don't flatter me too much. You're making me blush. Rodney chuckled. The two laughed and talked about how they met, what attracted them to each other, and what kind of life they planned to lead after marriage. Apparently, Rodney was drawn to Madeline's outgoing and cheerful personality. The Madeline I know is rebellious, self-centered, and lacking in empathy. I couldn't believe she was described as social. Isn't Rodney amazing? I really want to marry him. Please give us your blessing for our marriage. The two looked earnestly at my parents, waiting for their approval. From my perspective, Rodney seemed too good for Madeline, so I had no objections to their marriage. My parents felt the same, though surprised by the sudden news. They smiled and seemed to give their blessing. After Rodney left, as I was cleaning up the tea and snacks, Madeline spoke to me. You're jealous, aren't you, Valerie? Jealous of what? I'm marrying a wonderful, good-looking, high-earning man. Something you could never pull off. I responded to Madeline's smug, taunting smile. I'm not jealous. I'm actually happy you found someone so wonderful. Her expression twisted. probably because she didn't get the reaction she was hoping for. She sighed dramatically and said, "The snacks you served Rodney were so cheap. Couldn't you have prepared something more upscale?" "Oh, but you're unemployed, so you can't afford." "If I knew you were bringing your fiancé, I would have prepared something appropriate." "Oh, you should have sensed it from my happy vibe lately. I really hate how you can't read a room." Looking at Madeline, I wondered how long a marriage with her could last. I felt concerned for Rodney. That night, as usual, I called Conrad. It's a daily ritual. I get lonely easily, and hearing Conrad's voice helps me cope. I told him about Madeline bringing her fiancé.
Wow, Madeline has a fiancé? That's great news.
"Yes, his name is Rodney Bland. He seems too good for her, actually." As soon as I said that, Conrad's tone changed.
Wait, did you just say Rodney Bland?
"Yes, why? Is something wrong?" Conrad then accurately described Rodney's appearance, demeanor, and the mole under his left eye. As I expressed my surprise, Conrad continued in a serious tone.
Valerie, you need to tell Madeline to reconsider marrying Rodney.
"He's a scum artist." "What? Are you serious?" Rodney used to work under Conrad. He left the company a few years ago because he had been scamming multiple women out of their money and then disappearing. Conrad had been searching for him but couldn't find him. I stopped Conrad from contacting the women who had been scammed. "Let's be sure it's him first. I'll get a photo of Rodney from Madeline and then you can confirm."
All right.
The next day, I asked Madeline for a photo of Rodney, saying I'd draw a caricature for their welcome board. She complained but eventually gave me the photo. When Conrad saw it, he said,
That's definitely him.
"The scum artist Rodney.
Convince her to reconsider before she loses any money."
I was planning to do that anyway. Madeline may dislike me, but as her sister, I want her to be happy. Still, as Madeline's older sister, I think it's natural to want Madeline to be happy. I immediately told Madeline the truth about Rodney. She didn't believe me. "You're just jealous and trying to ruin my fiancé's reputation." "I'm not. Conrad told me about him. You should really reconsider. You won't be happy." I tried to persuade Madeline almost every day, but she got angry and stopped talking to me. I even asked my parents to talk to her, but when she found out it was for me, she started harassing me more. She'd burst into my room yelling, "Get a job, you unemployed loser!" or knock loudly on my door to disrupt my work. My parents and I tried to warn them, but they didn't listen, saying, "It's the unemployed's fault for not working outside the home." When the neighbors complained, they stopped making a fuss, but they didn't stop harassing me. My patience and goodwill as her sister were gone. Some might say, "She's your only sister. You should try harder." But there's nothing more I can do for someone who won't listen and harasses me. However, there is nothing I can do for her who has not listened to me at all and has been harassing me excessively. I gave up on convincing Madeline and decided to consult with Conrad and my parents about taking action. On the wedding day, I brought a nominal wedding gift and headed to the venue. The venue was incredibly lavish and the food was extravagant. Madeline's friends and relatives were already there, enjoying the feast. As I watched the food being brought out one after another, I suddenly noticed something. I noticed that not even a single drink had been served to me, while my parents had a full-course meal in front of them. When I asked the staff, they said, "Please wait a moment, we'll check," and went away. After a while, Madeline, dressed in a pure white wedding gown, walked over, the sound of her heels clicking. "Valerie, why are you sitting there? I don't remember inviting you." "What?" Not just me, but my parents, the guests, and the staff all looked at Madeline in surprise. The venue that was buzzing with activity just moments ago has now gone eerily silent, and whispers fill the air. Despite being the center of negative attention, Madeline looks at me smugly. "You dare show up here after insulting my fiancé? I can't believe you." "Oh, You're unemployed, so you probably don't even know when you're being rude. My parents standing next to me chime in.
Stop it, Madeline. This is a wedding.
Ignoring them, Madeline continues to berate me. How can I have a wedding if people find out my sister is unemployed? Just leave! You're embarrassing me! I let out a deep sigh and stand up. After exchanging glances with my concerned parents, I lock eyes with Madeline. Madeline, I came here to celebrate your wedding as your sister. But clearly, you don't want that. What a shame. What? Would I be happy to be blessed by someone unemployed like you? Just go! One last thing. Are you sure you won't regret it if I leave? Because if I do, we're probably done as sisters. Cutting ties with an unemployed sister? That's perfect. Leave now. With that, any lingering affection I had for her vanished. I tell Madeline, fine, we're done. Don't contact me again. I hear Madeline arguing with our parents as I leave, but it's no longer my concern. I pull out my cell phone and call Conrad. You can come in now. No need to hold back. Got it. Conrad replies and calls out to someone. Soon after, a group of women who had been waiting outside rush into the venue. Where is Rodney planned? Bring him out! Their angry shouts and the gasp of the surprised guests reach me outside. Moments later, the door bursts open and Rodney, the groom, dashes out. Sweating profusely, he tries to run away but is caught by Conrad, who had been waiting near the door.
Got you, Rodney. You're not getting away. Oh, Conrad, what are you doing here?
A furious Madeline and the group of women rush over to the stunned Rodney. Ruined our wedding! Get away from me, fiancé! As Madeline launches at Conrad, I grab her arm to stop her. She turns around, surprised at first, but then her face contorts in rage and she grabs my collar. This is your doing, isn't it? You're the worst kind of person! I told you multiple times to reconsider this marriage, didn't I? You chose not to listen. As I say this, I turn my gaze towards Rodney and explain about the women surrounding him. Rodney here has been dating these women and scamming them out of their money. They intend to sue him. What? You're joking, right? This isn't funny. Madeline looks at Rodney, who's being restrained by Conrad. He awkwardly avoids eye contact. Seeing this, Madeline mutters, You can't be serious, Rodney. And he looks down, visibly shaken. Rodney, with a forced smile, addresses the women surrounding him.
Why go through the hustle of suing? Let's settle this. I'm marrying a wealthy woman. I can pay you off. Right, Madeline?
Wealthy? Me? Confused, Madeline trembles as she speaks. I don't have that kind of money.
What?
I lied about being wealthy so I can't pay any settlement or severance.
What? Then what about the $20,000 you've been giving me?
That was for our wedding. You said to leave it to you, so I did. You didn't spend it, did you?
I blew through that $20,000 in a day.
What? Are you kidding me? Give it back! My $20,000! Everyone present is dumbfounded by their exchange. Rodney, who scammed women for money, and Madeline, who lied about being wealthy to marry him. Maybe they're a match made in heaven. The guests, who had gathered upon hearing the commotion, react in various ways, some whispering, others watching in disbelief. After arguing with Rodney for a while, Madeline notices the attention and starts yelling. What are you looking at? Leave! The wedding is over! Just leave your wedding gifts and go! She orders the staff to remove the guests, then rushes over to me. Valerie, you were right. If I had listened to you, I wouldn't be in this mess. I'm sorry. Please help me. Your demeanor doesn't suggest she's truly sorry. She's just trying to salvage the situation. Conrad, who has returned to my side, silently shakes his head. I nod in agreement, shake off her hand, and say, I told you we're done. We're strangers now. I won't help you.
What? What are you saying, Valerie? You're abandoning your only sister?
I don't have a sister anymore. Goodbye, and let's never cross paths again.
Wait! Valerie! Valerie!
Ignoring Madeline's calls, Conrad and I leave the venue. Later, I hear from my parents about Madeline and Rodney. Madeline was disowned and kicked out of the family home. She moved in with Rodney since they were already legally married. Rodney, who was sued by the women, had to take out loans to pay them off. Their marriage fell apart due to financial strain, and they divorced. Both are now destitute. About 6 months after Madeline's wedding, my mom's fracture healed and life returned to normal. My remote assignment ended, and I returned home, occasionally visiting my parents. A year later, Conrad and I were blessed with a child. With help from our parents, we're living happily with our new family.